This year, 2021, marks the 100th anniversary of the Barras street market here in Glasgow. A couple of times a year, Maggie would put on a social event for the stall holders, and it would be held over in the St Mungo Halls in the Gorbals. And the menu was always the same: lentil soup, steak pie and trifle. There was also copious amounts of beer and spirits, and this led to it becoming quite a raucous affair. So much so that the St Mungo Halls eventually refused to take the booking. So Maggie decided she would build a social hall for the market traders. And in 1934, the Barrowland opened. 4 years later, it had to be extended because it was becoming very popular. And indeed, during the Second World War, the Barrowland was mentioned by name by Lord Haw Haw, the Nazi propagandist. But into the 1950s was really when the Barrowland took off, and it was Billy McGregor was the band leader with his band the Gaybirds. But 1958 was a disastrous year for the McIvor family, because in the spring of that year, Maggie died. Later the same year, in August, the ballroom went on fire and was completely destroyed. The ground floor of the ballroom had been used by Maggie's son Sam McIvor as a car showroom, and during the height of the flames, Sam went into his car showroom and drove the cars out to save them from being destroyed. In 1959 began the demolition and rebuild of the Barrowland. Much of the work was done by the McIvor family and friends, and when the contracts were signed to construct the new ballroom, the McIvor family insisted that it should be, where possible, workers from the East End would be employed to do the job. And in 1960, the new ballroom opened, and it was bigger and swankier than the original. And through the 60s and 70s, it was a very popular venue for couples from all over Glasgow and beyond who would go to the Barrowland for a night's dancing, and some ended up married. As the 1970s wore on into the 1980s, the popularity of dance halls began to wane, and the Barrowland was not immune from this. But a couple of things happened in 1983 that were to be important in the rejuvenation of the Barrowland as a venue. Firstly, I want to talk about the sign behind me. The famous Barrowland sign. It's 160 feet long. It's reputedly larger than the Coca-Cola sign at Piccadilly, and it costs £8.50 an hour to illuminate. Big switch on was carried out by Russ Abbott, the television personality, and it was all under a thing called the Margaret McIvor Festival. But something else happened in 1983 that was perhaps much more important. The group Simple Minds asked Regular Music to find them a venue to film a video to promote their new album Waterfront. And the venue that they found was Barrowland. And this began a new life for Barrowland as a venue for concerts. And indeed in 1997, David Bowie came and gave a concert and went away with one of the stars from the ceiling of the dressing rooms. So the Barrowland had by now become one of the primary venues for rock concerts in the UK, and lots of bands always said that when they got the schedule for where their tour was going to be, everybody was looking to see that Barrowland was on it. Such was the importance of it. So the Barrowland had to have the floor reinforced to accommodate concerts, and it's still very popular today. So to conclude, I'd like to use the words written by Matt McGinn, the famous Glasgow poet, folk singer and raconteur. Matt was born in Ross Street, a few hundred yards from where I'm standing just now, and he wrote, "For Christmas he bought her a wee golden ring, but later it made him embarrassed. He'd forgot the first thing to turn green in the spring, his jewellery bought at the Barras."